what are the chances of you making 500 grand this year? If you don't make it, your wife passes away from a surgery that you couldn't afford to get her. He said, that ain't going to happen.
I would like to take a 10-minute break and then 3, 2, 1. How do you have the ability to analyze stock? Welcome to the Generations of Wealth podcast. I'm your host, Derek Dombeck. Today's episode is one I've been looking forward to for a really long time. Incredible friend, coach, mentor of mine, Sean McCloskey. I've worked with him for over a decade at least. And he is the man that, as you'll hear in the show, taught me everything that I've learned about vision and connection and all the things. So the intro here is going to be pretty short and sweet. This is a show that you absolutely should listen to multiple times and get takeaways from it multiple times. So let me bring Sean on. As always, anything I can do to help you, don't hesitate to reach out. Hit me up at derekdombeck.com or thegenerationsofwealth.com. And that's it. Let's dive into a really, really awesome show. And here he is, all the way from tropical St. Louis, Missouri, Mr. Sean McCloskey. Sean, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
So this has been something for the listening audience that I've been seeking and looking forward to for a long time. Schedules haven't aligned to get joined up for the show, but this man literally has changed my life in many, many, many ways. Been a part of my life for the last 8 years. I've been a part of a mastermind he runs called Leadership Boardroom. Prior to that, I learned some speaker training from Sean, which we can touch on a little bit. It's a specialty of his, but usually you guys that listen to the show, I just kind of let the guest tell you a little bit about them. But in this case, because we literally know so much intimate details about each other's lives, I figured I could do a little bit of justice to introing you. But my friend, it's an honor. Sean, thank you. And why don't you fill in the gaps about yourself?
Well, thanks, man. I'm going to go on record right now saying that's the first time in 8 years Derek has ever said anything nice about me. So that's good. I'm feeling really good already.
To my staff, can we edit this out, please?
No, man, thanks for having me. So I run a company called Leadership Boardroom, and we help people basically do 3 things. Really, it's 2 things and then blend them together. One, figure out what you want your personal life to look like with a personal vision, which sounds corny, but the second piece is figure out what you want your business vision to look like. And then how do you dial them all in and bring them in together so that you can have a life and a business at the same time. And it sounds really simple. It sounds really easy, but it's not easy, which is why most of the time when you meet business owners, they're either massively overworked and don't have much of a life, or are on their 5th marriage, or have addiction problems, or, don't have relationships or hobbies, or their health is suffering. So, or vice versa. Sometimes people have a great life and their business really isn't doing a whole lot and they're broke. And so I figure out how to help people come up with their own vision. It ain't my vision for them. I just help them extract out of them what they want the vision for their life and business to look like. And then we strategize how you're going to pull that off. And so that's kind of it in a nutshell, what I do for a living. Aside from that, I got my own hobbies and fun things that I like to do. I love business. I love helping people, and I speak and teach and coach and mastermind with business owners from all over the country and help them figure this out. And in the process of it, somehow I end up learning the most because I get to hang out with all these people and hear their stories, and they're really intimate stories of what they struggle with. And I guess to sum it all up, I could say that whatever you're going through right now, I've got enough evidence over doing this. This is my 19th year of coaching, and I've got enough evidence to support the idea that whatever you're going through, you are not alone. Somebody else is going through your exact same thing, and you just haven't found them yet, perhaps. But everybody's got struggles and everybody's got strategy. I don't care if one of my top clients, to give you an idea, is worth $500 million with a B. He's got challenges just like everybody else does. His might be a little bit different than some of yours, but he's struggled a lot too. And then we've got people that are just starting out in business as well, and they've got their own challenges too. So we just help people do those two things, line them up together, and then figure out how to pull it off.
Well, and my regular listeners know our mantra, live your vision, love your life. And you are the man that introduced vision to me 8+ years ago, and all the things that we've done together over the years. You spoke at some of my events. I've helped you teach other people because you kind of got some holes in your skill
Need some
sets.
help. Yeah.
Yeah. But I will tell you that for a long, long time, I had a business partner named Jeff, and Jeff and I were part of um, many events that Sean put on that were training events, as well as the mastermind that we belonged to. And Sean, for the
Here we go.
longest time, he could not remember my name and Jeff's name, right? He would mix them up, right? Because he's trying to think ahead of what's coming up, especially at these trainings, not so much at the masterminds, but at these speaker trainings he put on. These are like high level national speakers. Sean's teaching them all, his kind of tips and tricks on how to present. And so it got to the point where we got fluorescent chartreuse shirts with our names printed on it. It said, "My name is Derek." And Jeff had one that says, "My name is Jeff," sitting in the front row, and he still would call me Jeff. So this is how much he loves me. It's fantastic.
Right in the middle of the event, by the way, Derek says, "Hey, how much do I have to pay you to actually say my name?" Right.
I did. That is a true
Man,
story. That
I
is a
hate
true
you
story.
so much.
And we're not talking a $500 price point here. This was
No,
fairly.
as a matter of fact, I charged Derek double than everybody else in that room
He did,
just
but I
because I
wrote.
knew I was going to have to put up with crap.
Yeah, but I wrote him a check, and two-party post dated, not a big deal. So, Sean, after 20 years almost of coaching, and you know, you're what's called a coach's coach, and kind of like you referenced, and most of the people that you work with are in some form of a leadership position. That doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be leading 100 people, right? They're just some sort of, that's what you specialize in. Um, what's some of the life lessons that you have seen being a coach's coach? Because you and I have conversations fairly often about it's kind of lonely when you're up there at what some people would consider the top, and not that you're at the
Yeah,
top financially, but you're at the top where everybody's looking to you for guidance, but we have our struggles, right?
of course.
What's that like? What's the life lessons from being a coach's coach?
Well,
Let's
it's
go deep right away. We're recording this at 8 o'clock in the morning. We're just diving right in.
well, I'll tell you what, man, it's so interesting because the word leadership means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And I, even though I've been doing this 19 years, I continue to get schooled all the time on what it means to be a leader and what it means to coach and coach other people and help other people. When I first got started, I thought that coaching and training and all that was about you telling what the other person to do and having all of the answers. And I've learned, I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I don't have anywhere near all the answers. There's so many times that we're in, as you know, one of our mastermind settings, there's 15 people in a room and we're just, each person gets about an hour in the hot seat. And the hot seat is where you just basically have a board of directors with you, about 14 people all around you, and everybody's pouring into you during your time in the hot seat. It's a really uncomfortable time when you're in the hot seat, but it's also very powerful. And what I've learned is when I first started this, I wanted to be the guy that had all the answers. And what I found is I don't know what I'm doing, just like the rest of you guys. Now, I've got some experience at this point. I've seen a lot of things that work and a lot of things that don't work, but the answer is within the realm of the other people in the room far more than it ever comes from me. And I think part of that leadership word is recognizing and owning that without allowing it to bring you to shame or damage your ego. But the truth is, I don't know everything. I know a lot of patterns. I know a lot of things that I've seen with people that work very, very well over the years that help them have a great life and a great business. But every situation is unique. And so, man, I'm still learning all the time of what it means to be in a leadership position, what it means to coach other people who are coaches. But the reality is, whether or not you're leading a team of 5,000 people or you're on your own little island. You're leading yourself. And man, I've gotten some lessons just in the past couple of years alone that do you have the ability to lead yourself? Can you actually manage your own emotions, especially under stress? And that's not an easy thing to master. But as a matter of fact, I'm still learning about it every single day. But that would be the biggest thing. Our environments, and even what I do with coaching, um, there is strategy involved for sure. But usually it's not the strategy that's the problem. It's what's going on up here. Usually somebody's got a hang up, or they've got conflicting beliefs where I want massive success, but I'm afraid of failure, or I really know I want to get my message out there, but I'm deathly afraid of what people will think or if they criticize or judge me. And so I need to put all my stuff on social media, or I need to get my message out there. But what if people don't like me? And so these are the inner battles that we have. Or I really want to make a whole lot more money, but inherently I've been taught my whole life that money is a bad thing and only evil people go after it. Or it's going to take 90 hours a week to pull that off because that's the only model that I've seen of how to make a lot of money. And so I want to make more, but I don't want to work 90 hours. There's all these conflicting beliefs that go on. And so my job is to help people figure out what those are, because once they figure those out and they get past the headspace stuff, the strategy is everywhere. And we've got AI now, we've got the internet, we've got access to training like never before. But the application of the training, if this isn't right, is really hard. And so when you're on an island by yourself, it's really hard. So I always encourage people, you cannot be, you said it's lonely at the top. And my phrase with that is it's also lonely on your way to the top. So as you're trying to grow both your business and your personal life and all the things that you claim to care about, it's not easy to make all of them work at the same time. And you better be putting yourself around people where the rising tide raises all ships, because it's just not easy. It's simple, but there's nothing easy about it. And you'll have these little moments where you're kicking butt and taking names and everything feels good, and you'll have other moments where you're down in the dumps. And where do you go when that happens? You better be able to go somewhere, because especially if you're in a leadership position, that's what I mean when I say it's lonely. You got everybody looking to you for the answers, and the reality is you don't have all of them.
Mhm.
And so where are you going to go to get them? And I don't mean just the answers of strategy, like how am I going to make my marketing better? I mean, how am I going to get some answers to where people from the outside can take a look in and say, hey man, you got some stinking thinking going on. Like you've got some conflicting beliefs, or you've got a bad partnership and you don't see it, or it could be thousands of different things, but you cannot do that by yourself. I've tried, it doesn't work.
Yeah, and there's so many things in there as you're talking, and I've heard you say this for many years. And I keep dialing through memories of different circumstances, different things I've worked through on my own, different things I've worked through with you or other people in my life. And the fact of it is, um, I was speaking at a RIA meeting last night, and there's whatever 30 people in the room, and they're all looking to me because what I was presenting on was about negotiations, and we were doing live phone calls at the RIA meeting to sellers and all, and they're all looking at me like almost like putting me on a pedestal. And I had
Yep.
to correct them. I'm like, this is nothing more than practice, 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 practice. I am no different or better than anybody else. I just put in more time. But I was coaching them on how to be better at negotiating. But in my inside, in my gut, I was, honestly, I wasn't even thinking about it because it comes naturally. But I had some other things that happened during the day that were on my heart and that were kind of bothering me. And you got to be able to set that aside as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. You have to put on a smile and go do what you got to do. But
Yeah.
at the same time, man, that is hell on earth sometimes, right? And I
Yeah.
don't think enough people talk about it. Um, you know, you taught me and others have taught me too, but kind of about the six basic human needs, and I'd love for you to
Yep.
touch on that a little bit here. But there's just different reasons why people do every action they do all day long.
Yeah.
And I'm telling the listening audience right now, I'm not in the mood to record this podcast.
Yeah.
But I got to do that because I'm passionate about helping you and helping you grow your network and bring you great content and great guests. But, it's not always yay, I get to record a Generations of Wealth podcast, right?
Of
And
course.
every podcast host I know and talk to, it's the same thing for all of us. We love doing this, and I do love doing this, but that doesn't mean at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday morning when we're recording this, I jumped up and said, all right, you know,
Yeah.
but touch on some of that, the six basic human needs
Well, here,
and
I'm going to back up just because you're bringing up something really, really important. People think that they can just discipline their way into whatever behavior that they want. And that's not true. And that's why, you know, I think I read in Inc. magazine, 93% of New Year's resolutions fail by January 31st. 93%. And the reason for that is that's because people are setting a goal without a big enough target and a reason why. And so, they can discipline themselves to go do something for a few weeks, but that doesn't work because what you need instead of just the discipline and the goal is you need a vision for what you want the other side to look like. And that vision's got to be really strong. It's got to be really powerful. It's got to pull you towards it. You can't just push your way into it all the time. You can for a little while until the day comes where you just don't feel like doing it. So you take your example of doing these podcasts on Wednesday morning. There's plenty of times that you just don't want to do it. And you don't have to just discipline yourself to do it. There's some discipline involved, but that's not the thing that's going to keep you going. What keeps you going? There's some bigger meaning for it behind you. You want to help other people, or that you've gotten feedback from somebody else saying that it's really impacted them somehow, or something like that. That's the thing that will get you out of bed Wednesday morning, even on the days that you don't feel like doing it, because your vision for the other side of it is stronger than your desire to sleep in or not do the podcast this morning. And so, we talk about vision a lot around here. The vision has to be clear. It has to be in writing. It's got to be powerful. It really, if you're doing it right and you're reading your vision and done some work in this area, it should pretty much bring you to tears when you read it because it gets you that excited. And if your life and your day does not look like that, well, either your vision isn't crystal clear or you got a whole bunch of stuff that are, I have to do these things versus I get to do these things. Or you're not operating in your skill set or what I call your unique genius zone. Or there's just a bunch of tasks. I mean, we were talking before you started the podcast here and you were ordering toner for the printer, right? And nobody wants to order toner for the printer. And of course, there's things that you got to get stuff done throughout the day also. But if that's basically your life, where you're just doing a series of tasks that don't have a bigger meaning behind them, you're going to be exhausted by 2 o'clock every day. You're going to need a nap. By the time work is over, you're going to be completely drained. And you're going to wake up one day and go, what in the heck am I doing here? Because you're doing a bunch of tasks, but you don't necessarily know why. And the vision gets crystal clear on the what and the why. Then you come up with a strategy, which is the how. And everybody wants to skip to the how. Like, just show me how to make more money. Well, why do you need to make more money? Do you know exactly how much money do you need to make? And do you know exactly why? And by the way, do you have a consequence in place if you don't make the kind of money you want? I ask this question to people all the time when I speak. I say, how much money you want to make this year? And I get all these different answers from the audience, and they're almost always round numbers. And they start at, I want to make 100 grand. Then the next average is 250. And then the next person says, I want to make 500. Then somebody says 1 million. And then you always get one guy in the audience or one gal that says, I want to make 50 million this year. Okay. So I'll pick the guy who says 500 grand, for example. And I say, okay, you mind if we play a little bit, role play? And he says, sure. I said, okay, would you be pissed if you only made 490 grand this year? Not 500, you only made 490. And I just did this a couple weeks ago, and the guy goes, no, that'd be all right. I said, okay, that's interesting. What if you only made 450 this year? Would you be pissed? And he goes, no. That's okay. What if you only made 400? And I'll keep going down. Now, in this case, I got all the way down to 160. And the guy goes, oh, no. I'd be pissed if I only made 160. And I said, really? Why is that? And I already know the answer. And he goes, because I'm worth more than that. I said, how do you know you're worth more than that? And he said, because I made 160 last year. I said, oh, interesting. Okay. So I said, let me ask you this, though. Who's one person that you love in your life more than anybody else? And he goes, my wife. I just love her so much. I said, okay, if your wife needed a surgery this year that cost 500 grand, or else she's going to die, tell me, would you be pissed now if you only made 498? And he goes, I'd be furious. I said, why? And he goes, because I'd be 2 grand away from saving my wife's life and there'd be no way to save her. I said, okay, oh, so you got a big enough reason why. So I said, what are the chances of you making 500 grand this year? If you don't make it, your wife passes away from a surgery that you couldn't afford to get her. He said, that ain't going to happen. I said, oh, okay. So when you got a big enough reason why, you'll figure out how to do the strategy. And I said, how would you do that? And he goes, I don't know, but I'd figure it out. I said, exactly. The strategy doesn't come first. The strategy is always secondary to why in the heck are you doing it in the first place? And if you got a big enough reason why, you'll pull off stuff that you didn't even think you could pull off. You'll find resources that you didn't know were right in front of you, and you'll figure it out. But without that vision piece and without the why behind it, you'll settle for 170 because you made 160 last year, and that seems like an increase. And I could replace money with anything else that we're talking about here. The 3-month vacation that you've always wanted to take, or whatever else it is, the friendships that you want to have. You got a big enough reason why behind it, you will pull it off. And that's what the vision work is. That's also why it's not real easy, because you got to learn the process for this, and you got to get it out of your head, and you got to get it in writing, and it needs to move you. And if it moves you, it will get you out of bed in the morning. And if it doesn't, you'll struggle to get yourself out of bed. You'll discipline yourself into doing it, and it'll be hard. It's going to be hard anyway, but it'll be really hard if you don't have that.
I remember going back to around COVID when I told you I was envious of you taking a month-long RV trip with your family, and you challenged me. And so so this was the fall of the year, September, I would say. And the following year, we blocked off the month of July to take a family RV trip. No clue how we were going to do it, pull it
Yeah.
off, anything like that. And in the first 7 to 10 days while we were gone, I was a nervous wreck. The middle portion of that, I started to calm down. By the end of that it was actually about 5 weeks. By the end of that 5 weeks, I had so much clarity on what I didn't want in my business anymore.
Yeah.
And I remember you telling me you've challenged enough people to do that, to take some time off, and very few people do it. What I think
Yep.
it'd be awesome for you to touch on that.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those things that was like, everybody says, when I speak and I'll coach for years now, and I ask the audience, how many of you would like to travel more than you do? And almost every single hand in the room goes up. So I always know that's kind of a universal desire that most people want. Not everybody, but most people say, yeah, I'd love to travel and see the world more and experience different cultures, and or whatever it is that they want to go see. And if it's not travel, you can replace that with anybody else. And I say, okay, why don't you do it? Well, life gets in the way, or I need more money, or whatever else. Well, okay. I got a buddy of mine that went to, he always wanted to go to Asia and Bali and all these different places. He went over there for 3 months on 6 grand and lived like a king. 6 grand. And so, this is a guy who doesn't make any money at all. And so money is not the reason. Now, some people say, no, I only travel in first rate resorts and all this stuff. Okay, let's put that aside for a second. Let's forget about what your obstacles are for a second. What is it that you want? And they say, I want to travel more. Okay, why don't you do it? Well, number one, it's not a big enough thing that they really, really want where it actually makes it to the calendar. And there's not a vision for what they want that to look like. So once we start doing the vision work, we say, okay, what are just a few things that we can implement this year that are part of my vision that are going to rise to the top of the surface of priorities for me? And so you said, I don't know how I'm going to pull this off, but let's give it a year. And 1 year from now, I'd like to figure out how to take a month off. That made it to the top of your priority list out of probably a half a dozen other things, something like that. And then your brain said, well, how am I going to do that? I don't know. But if I put it on the calendar, I know that I'll do it and I'll figure it out on the way. So you had to make all kinds of changes in your business within that year while you were planning for it, because you had to think about your business differently. How is my business going to run without me actually being the sole runner of the business for 5 weeks while I'm gone? And so then you started to come up with strategy because it was already set in motion. You had a vision, you had a goal with a timeline attached to it, and then strategy started to play. And you didn't know how to do it. No one knows how to take 5 weeks off when they're running their business. And, you didn't know how to do it, but you set a goal with a timeline and then you pull it off. Now, the reason that I challenge people to do that is because something happens in your brain when you take time off where just like you said, when you first get away, you do get into a little panic mode. What's going to go wrong while I'm gone? Oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. And there's all kinds of emotional stuff that happens too, depending on how your business is running right now. Where for me, I had so much significance built up into myself for the ability to help other people. I love helping other people. And after the first week, nobody called me asking for help. And that really messed with my ego a little bit because they were all honoring the fact that I was on vacation for a month. So, oh my gosh, panic sets in. Nobody needs me. All my coaching students are going to leave. They're going to learn that they don't need me around anymore. And oh my gosh, what's going on in my business without me? That was just the first week. It took me almost a week just to realize how not present I have been for a really long time. Because about a week in, I got present for the first time in a long time. And when I say present, I mean playing games with the kids and not thinking about anything else. I mean, just sitting by a creek and actually enjoying every single bit about it. And I thought you hear that and you go, what are you talking about? That sounds really easy. Well, not when you're running a business and trying to raise a household and coach all these people and all this other stuff. By the end of the month, to your point, the things that I thought were the most important thing in the world before I went on this trip, most of them weren't important to me at all anymore. My entire outlook changed. So much changed, and it sounds ridiculous to say that changed by taking time off. It was some of the most productive time of my life because at the end of 30 days, I came back and I was like, nope, I'm not doing. My boundaries increased. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not coaching this type of person who's uncoachable or who's a combative jerk. I'm going to ask this person to leave. This is how I'm changing the structure of it so that it fits with my vision, not just so I can serve everybody else all the time at the expense of me. And some of this sounds a little bit selfish. It's not selfish. Selfish is doing something for yourself at the expense of other people.
Mhm.
Having a healthy self-interest means doing the right thing for yourself for the betterment of the entire whole. And so that is a healthy self-interest for you to have your own vision. Some people struggle with this really hard. If I have my own vision, I'm very selfish. No, you're not selfish at all. Selfish is if you're doing your own thing, everybody else is paying the price for it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you having a vision for your life and business so that it works for you. And then the people that are on board with that will naturally gravitate towards you. At the end of that month, man, I'm like, I'm doing so many things that are not in my own healthy self-interest. And no wonder I'm exhausted all the time. I'm
Mhm.
serving the needs of everybody else while it's not also serving my needs. There's nothing selfish about that at all. And I came back and changed a lot. And so, yeah, I've challenged a bunch of people to do that. Only maybe 4 or 5 people have ever taken me up on it, but I share the benefits of that. And it's not easy to pull off because you got to think differently. But if you give yourself enough time, you got a big enough vision, give yourself a deadline with a goal. See, we're doing a top-down approach
Mhm.
instead of what most people do. Most people start their day with their to-do list, which is usually a bunch of meaningless crap that they need to check off the list, but it feels good to check things off the list. We're taking a top-down approach. We're saying, what's the purpose of our life and business? What's the vision for our life and business? From there, we're breaking that down into goals. We're not starting with goals. We're not starting with a to-do list. We're not starting with strategy. We're saying vision, purpose. From there, now we can set goals, which is what you did. Vision and purpose is I want time with my family. I want to see parts of the world. I want to go on a month-long RV trip. Goal is 1 year from now, here's the date I'm going to pull that off. I don't know how I'm going to do it. So then we break that down into a smaller chunk. What do I need to do this week to get my business a little bit closer to the point where next year I can actually take a month off and not go out of business? So we're taking a top-down approach instead of a bottom-up approach. And again, goes against the grain of what most people are doing. But it works. And I've seen people do this now for years and years and years. They pull off things they never thought they could pull off because they got a vision strong enough. And now when they're doing activities to get them closer for it, it's pulling them towards it instead of just a bunch of tasks and to-do lists. And
Well,
that's a lot.
and
Make sense?
none of it makes sense. Can you start over? Um, the thing is, when you challenged me that and we pulled it off that first year, then we knew we could do it. It became a thing we
Yeah.
did for the next, well, we did it for 3 summers in a row where
Yeah.
we took 4 to 6 weeks off. And it became just something that was almost an expectation of the family and myself because it now was normal.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is, you know, when life changes, not if, but when life changes, you also know that that's doable, it's possible. And even in, there was some life changes for us, so we couldn't do that in 24 or 25. Um, but I know that I can absolutely get back to it because you've
Yeah.
already done it, right? It's just like, okay, some deals go really good, some deals don't go as good, but you still have the knowledge you learn from every experience. Um, now you
Well,
touch,
and then let me add to that real quick, because what does that do to your confidence when you pull off something that just last year you thought was impossible?
oh
You
yeah,
know, you start looking around and you go, what else do I think is impossible that I had never thought I could do before, but I did this one.
right.
And then you start to increase your capacity for impossibility. It's like, I thought this thing was never going to happen, but I set a date, I set it out far enough to at least hopefully make it a reality, figured out the strategy along the way, and we did it.
Yeah.
And man, that bleeds into other things.
And it wasn't nearly as difficult as we led ourselves to believe. It
Yeah.
didn't cost as much.
Yep.
My staff was fantastic. My
Yep.
business partner at the time was fantastic. They didn't, I just like you felt the same way. Nobody's calling me for help. I felt the same way. It's like, oh shit, they don't need me to micromanage
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And right. But you said something during that. You mentioned significance. I kind of the brief overview of the six basic human needs
Yeah. Yeah.
only because then um, I want to touch on probably the last point we'll have time for, but just kind of give us a couple minutes on the six basic human needs and why that's so important when you're figuring out your vision.
Yeah, so this is not my training. This is something that, love him or not, some people love this guy, some people can't stand him. But the message behind this is really really powerful, and it's a whole series of training that Tony Robbins came up with called the Six Human Needs Psychology, and it basically says that everybody does everything they do for one of six reasons or more, and it boils down to these things. They're trying to meet their needs, is what it boils down to. And so there's only six needs that you're trying to meet at any given point. The first one is certainty and comfort. So certainty is like, I wouldn't be sitting in this chair right now if I wasn't certain that it would hold me, right? So no one would do that. You wouldn't drive down a two-lane highway, which everybody does all the time, if you didn't have some level of certainty that the car in the other lane coming at you at 70 miles an hour wasn't going to swerve into your lane and kill you head on. So now some people can't drive on a two-lane highway. They don't have the certainty that that's not going to happen. And so they have a lot of fears around it, so they can't do it. But we'll talk about why in a second. So that's your need for certainty. And there's thousands and thousands of ways you can get your need for certainty met. You can get your need met by having the most money in the bank. That's what'll give me comfort and safety. You can do it by, oh my gosh, by eating. You can do it by smoking cigarettes. I know I'm going to feel a certain way when I do it. I know I'm going to enjoy this food when I eat it or overeat it. I know I'm going to finally relax if I can eat, right? And so there's positive, neutral, and negative ways to meet your needs, and that's just one of them. The second one is the exact opposite of certainty and comfort. It's uncertainty and variety. And so now, if if you had certainty that you knew every single thing that was going to happen every single day, right, you'd be bored out of your mind. So
Mhm.
you need the opposite of that also, which is uncertainty, variety. So that, that's like watching a movie. Why in the world would somebody watch one movie five times? Well, because it meets at least two of their needs. They have certainty that they already like the movie, and they didn't remember every single detail of the movie. So there's still enough uncertainty and variety in it that they're going to hopefully get a new experience than the first time they watched it. Or they have certainty that they're going to get somewhat close to the same experience. So they're meeting more than one need with one movie, right?
Mhm.
And so there's uncertainty and variety. I can get uncertainty and variety by sleeping with 40 women at a time, right? And you got to decide positive, neutral, or negative ways to get your needs met. You can get your need for variety and uncertainty met by skydiving, right? You can get it met by starting a business, by speaking to an audience. There's thousands of ways to get these needs met. Okay. That's just two. Third one is significance, the need to be important, unique, different, right? So significance is like, think of it this way. I can be significant by having the biggest business with the most employees or doing the most business or winning awards or having the most tattoos or piercings. I can get significance by donating the most money to the best cause. I can get significance. You ever notice how some people love to donate money, but they'll only do it if their plaque is on the building that they donated the money to, right? So the needs are important, and then the order of the needs in how much you value them is also important, right? So significance, thousands of ways. And again, positive ways to meet your need for significance, neutral ways, and negative. One of the negative ways, I can be the most significant person in this room right now if I walk up to somebody in a restaurant and put a gun to their head or start a fight or cause a scene, right? I can also be the most significant person if I'm helping in the most significant way. So again, no right or wrong way to do this, but it's really important to pay attention to how you get your needs met. That's 3. Number 4 is the need for love and connection. And what people really want in the number 4, they want love, but sometimes that's not very safe, so they'll settle for connection. So how do you get your needs for love and connection met? Well, you can get your need for love and connection met by, in a negative way, by having the biggest problem and being depressed all the time. And people go, no, 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 I don't feel love when I do that. Well, are you sure? Is that a time when maybe you connect with yourself? And then some people go, no, no, I struggle with depression, but I don't like it that other people give me attention around that. Okay. You don't like it. It's a negative way to meet your need for love and connection, but it is a way. And so here's the thing, your needs, if you're not actively paying attention to them, your needs don't care how they get met. This is why kids act out, right? And rebel. And they're looking to get their needs met. And all we are is a bunch of big kids. They'll act out, they'll do things, they'll get in trouble because they're looking to get their needs met. They're not being met in positive ways. So they go, you know what? I'll get them met in another way. And they don't know why they're doing it. So love and connection. I can get love and connection again. Can I get more than one need met with one activity? Sure. Yeah, I used to, years ago in the corporate world, I used to smoke. So I'd go out and smoke. And I didn't even realize I'm getting my need for connection met because that's where we had all the best conversations with all the other smokers out on the smoking break. So I'm getting love and connection from cigarettes. I'm getting certainty. I know that it's going to make me feel a certain kind of way. I'm getting uncertainty because we don't talk about the same things out there every single time. There's all kinds of variety in the conversations. Is it significant in my life? Yes, I hated doing it, but it was a significant problem. And so here we are with one activity, and it's getting 4 of my 6 human needs met at 8, 9, and 10 levels on a 0 to 10 scale. And I'm wondering why I can't quit. Well, here's the great thing about the 6 human needs. You only need to have 3 of them, 3 of the needs scored at high levels for any one activity to have an addiction. And that addiction can be addiction to work. It could be the gym. It could be cigarettes. It could be to fighting. It could be to whatever it is. If one activity meets 3 or more of your 6 human needs at high levels, 8s, 9s, and 10s, you have an addiction. Now, is it a positive addiction? Is it a neutral addiction, or is it a negative addiction? You get to figure that out on your own, right? But then the last 2 needs, not everybody meets, but they're called the needs of the spirit. The last 2 are growth and contribution. And so everybody's going to figure out how to meet their first 4, for sure. The last 2 come with fulfillment. And when you're growing, you tend to have more fulfillment when you're contributing in other areas. And so how do you grow? Well, you can grow by joining a gym or being on a bicycling team, or you can grow by going to seminars and events. A lot of your people probably enjoy growing in some ways like that, or they wouldn't be on this podcast. And then contribution is a big one too. So how are you contributing to others? How are you contributing to self? And so here's why that's important. So when you look at this and how it shows up in life and business, it's everywhere. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And so, but the order of these are really important too. So think about the example I gave before. If you're donating money and you're donating it anonymously because you want to love or want to contribute, and love and contributions are your top needs that you're trying to meet within yourself to donate money, that's different than if your top need is significance. If your top need is significance, you may still donate the money, but you may not do it unless you get credit for it. And this is the interesting thing about this. I've polled so many business owners about all of this over the years. Your top 2 needs that you're striving to get met on a regular basis are really, really important. Really important. So if you take a look at your life and you go, based on my activities, if I were to look into my calendar, into my wallet, and into my activities, Which of these needs am I striving to get met the most? Which am I striving to get met the most? And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm the most miserable when it's significance. Listen to this. If I go speak to a room and my number one need that I'm trying to meet speaking is significance, then I'm going to try to do a good job so the audience thinks that I'm good enough. If my number one need is either love and connection or contribution, I'm not even caring about myself when I speak in front of the room. I'm here for them. I'm here to serve them. I'm here to love on them. And guess what else? What happens? You think the audience doesn't feel that?
Oh,
You've seen
sure.
speakers that get out and speak and they flash up pictures of how amazing they are and they're talking about how amazing they are. It's like they want the audience to think that they're significant, and you feel it. You know that if you don't know what it is, you may not know how to put it into words, but you know that that guy or that gal is not there for you. They're there for them, and you feel it, and you're attracted or repelled based on what you feel. So,
Well, and this is why I wanted you to kind of give the explanation, the 2-minute explanation that took you 8, which is very Sean McCloskey.
hey man,
But
give me an inch, I'll take a mile.
that's right. But here, this was really important. I wanted to get this out in this show. Understanding your basic human needs while you're trying to figure out your vision is so important. And I say this from experience. I was that guy when Sean started working with me. I mean, it took him 2 years to get me to draft my first partial vision, right? And 8 years later, it still struggles up and down because it is a living, breathing document. It should
Yep.
be changed as your life changes. You should celebrate your wins. You should excel, your goals and all these things. But here's the part I want to be very clear on. Um, these are my words, not Sean's. Vision can be a double-edged sword. And when you're filtering your vision based off what you think your significant other, spouse, business partner, fill in the blank, wants or would put up with, you're not actually living your vision and loving your life. And I'm guilty of that multiple times. And that's why I just feel like it's super important when I'm working on my vision now today. I can't lie and say constantly, but I am consciously thinking about more about the why and the 6 basic needs and what's being met because of looking back in the past, right? I don't want to have the same vision I had in the past, and I don't want to make the same mistakes I made when designing my vision in the past. So I wanted to get that out, Sean. Feel free to comment. And
It's important that that's the difference between selfishness and a healthy self-interest. Look, if you are crafting your vision and you're doing so in a way that's trying to make everyone else around you happy, and you're doing that at the same time, it's not going to work, because you're going to bend your own values and the things that you believe in, and it's going to turn you into a different person. There's a really great book, especially if you're a guy, that every guy should read. And the title sounds awful. It's not. It's called No More Mr. Nice Guy. And the point behind the title is not that you should be a jerk. The point is stop trying to people please everybody around you and actually get your own values lined up. What is it that you stand for? What are your standards for yourself? What is it that you want to have out of life? Because that's the only way that you can lead, not from a position of selfishness, but from a position of owning who you are and not trying to be a chameleon based on what audience you're in front of, saying the thing that you want this person wants you to say, or doing the thing that this person wants you to do. That's not leadership. That's not leading yourself first. That is cowering to the needs of everyone else around you. And here's the beautiful thing about this, especially if you're married or in a relationship or even in a business partnership. Here's what you can do. You come up with your own vision on your own, completely separately and independent from your spouse, from your coworkers. Forget about what your parents think you should do. Forget about what your kids think you should do. You have to approach this from a self perspective first. That way you get it out of your head. If I could have my life and business look any way on earth with a wave of a magic wand, how would it look? That's what you get out of your head in writing. There's a whole process to this. It takes me 3 days to teach this for personal and 3 days to teach it for business. So I know I'm going fast here. But you get it out, puke it all out, you get it in writing, and you go, man, if I had this life, this would be amazing. If I was this person, if I were to become this person, which is a requirement in order to be living and owning a business like this, If I were to be that person, I would be awesome, man. I would be fulfilled. I'd be really happy. That would be fantastic. Okay. Then hopefully your spouse or your business partner or other people that are around you, they do their own version. Then you come together and strategize. Okay, this is what I want this to look like. I'm not saying screw you. I'm going to do all this at your expense. I'm saying this is what I want life and business to look like. Now let's see yours. Let's figure out how we can blend these two things together so that we can both have every single thing that we want out of life and business. And what you'll find is most of the time you can make it work. Most of the time. Now, there are cases, especially in partnerships, where the vision looks completely different. Sometimes it happens in marriages too, unfortunately. But when you actually sit down, you go, no, this is what I want out of life, and this is what I want to live. Sometimes there's not a way to blend them together where everybody can have what they want. And then you have to take a hard look at the partnership and go, is this the right partnership for me?
Mhm.
Right? Is this the right employee for me? My vision for what we want life to look and with the direction of the company looks like this. The employee that I have, their vision looks completely different. At the very least, then you can say with integrity and honesty, this is not a fit, and you can figure out how to part ways professionally and with love and all the right ways instead of just letting 6 years go by or 8 years go by. Your visions are bringing you further and further apart until finally, no, I want this, and no, I want this. Now you're fighting about all of it
Mhm.
and you're damaging relationships. Whereas if you just look at it and you say, "Oh, no, no, our visions are just different. It's okay that yours looks this way. It's okay." Then you can make a conscious choice without anger, without resentment, without being pissed off all the time. You can say, look, this actually isn't a good fit like we thought it was. So how are we going to figure out how to not do it the way we've been doing it? So powerful, so
Yeah.
powerful. But you got to do the work to figure out if you're even a fit.
And these are all the things that most entrepreneurs that listen to shows like this put off, right? They're like, well, this sounds great, Sean. I'll do that next week because I'm busy right now. Well, guess
Yep.
what? Next week is going to turn into next month, next year, and bang, you're dead, and it's over.
Yeah. You know why they do that?
Yeah,
It's important work, but it's not urgent. There's nothing urgent about it at all. If
yeah,
you don't do anything about this right now, nothing bad's going to happen tomorrow.
yeah.
However, here's what I will say about that. You don't do this today, it's going to turn into tomorrow, next week. Pretty soon, 2 years go by, pretty soon, 10 years go by, and you go, what is my life about? I don't know what it's about. That's where midlife crisis comes from. It's like, what in the world am I doing everything that I've been doing for? And by the way, I've seen people that have done this that have built really successful businesses and they wake up and they're wealthy. They have everything that they ever thought that they wanted. And they wake up and they go, what in the world's going on? Is this it?
Hmm.
It's because they've accomplished all their goals financially and with the business, but they've not had a vision for what they want life to look like along with business. And life becomes a series of tasks. And now, believe it or not, it's a series of tasks managing multiple homes. I've worked with people who've had to manage. I've worked with people who are pissed off because of the maintenance that's involved with the 12 Lamborghinis that they have, you know,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden the things that used to be very important to you to hit, those goals, it sounds so stupid. People say, "Oh, I'd love to have those problems." Look, it's all the same thing. If your vision's not crystal clear and you're only going after goals, which is what most people do, you're
Hmm.
going to wake up unfulfilled. And it's hard enough to wake up fulfilled anyway. So we might as well work towards something worthwhile and meaningful.
Well, I'm fulfilled because I had you on the show finally, and you all heard me say that it took him 2 years to get me to, get my original vision drafted. So we're saying this, not preaching. We're saying this because this is real life. This is what we've lived. This is what we've been through. And Sean and I have been through a lot together, and I truly, truly appreciate him more than he could ever possibly know. And that includes appreciate you coming on the show, Sean.
Hey, can I finish up with one thing? We didn't talk about this before, but there's a wheel of life and a wheel of business that if you've got a way to get it to people, I'll be happy to share it. And I can
Yeah,
go
if
through
you
it in about
if
1 minute
you
right
uh
now before we
if
wrap
you
up.
get us a link, we'll
Okay.
put it here in the show.
All right. This is real quick before we finish. This is a very simple 2-page document, and it's got a wheel of life on it and a wheel of business. And on the wheel of life, there's about 9 different topics. On the wheel of business, there's a bunch of different topics. Here's what vision is for the simplest way to get started. It's going to ask you to rate yourself 0 to 10 in each of these fields. So love and connection. So for example, how your finances doing, 0 to 10. What's your health look like, 0 to 10. Rate yourself there. You'll see how to do it directly on the sheet. We'll give you some instructions there. But here's the simplest answer of what it means to have a vision. Start to identify, what does a 10 look like in each of these areas? Because everyone, when it boils down to it, they want to make more money, they want to travel more, they want to do all these things. Here's what it boils down to is 4 words. What people want is 4 words, and that's it. Life on your terms. That's it.
Mhm.
So, and that's after me asking dozens of questions, usually to get them to that point. They finally go, well, what I really want is to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it, with the people I want to do it. Yes, that's life on your terms.
Mhm.
So if that's the case, what are your terms? I ask people that and they can rattle off 3 or 5 or 10 things. Your terms are your vision. And so take the sheet and ask yourself, what does a level 10 look like in each of these categories? If you can start with that, you've got the start of a vision. It's not going to be perfect yet. You'll figure it out as you go, or come to one of our trainings at one point and we'll help you through it. But life on your terms, then what are your terms? So I'll leave you with that and give you guys this gift as a little way to at least get started with something.
Absolutely. And I'm going to give out your personal cell phone number to everybody so they
Yes,
can
thank you.
call
That
you and
fits my
ask for
vision.
advice at any time. Sean really likes late night calls. He's a
Yeah.
night owl, so 2, 3 a.m.
Yep.
Perfect. I'll shoot that out to everybody in a separate email. So it'd be great. You're welcome. So
I only answer on FaceTime though at night, and good luck if I may not have a shirt on or anything like that. So that's fine. Call me anytime.
yeah, yeah, it's fantastic. He used to be a ginger. Now he's just gray. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So he walks around as a ginger. Um, true story. Mastermind in Austin, Texas, I think it was, or San Antonio. Um, but Sean forgot to pack underwear. As a group, we had to go to Walgreens and go underwear shopping for Sean. So,
We did. That was
and
one of my most proud moments. That met all my 6 human needs.
I have
I got
pictures.
uncertainty. I didn't know what kind of underwear they had there. I got
Yeah.
certainty. I knew we would find some. I knew it would feel good to have brand new underwear. I got significance because man, the whole group went with me to get underwear. It was fantastic. And so I really felt love and connection from you guys there. I grew while I was there. I grew into the underwear, and you guys contributed to me, which felt great. It met all my 6 human needs.
The worst part that I still don't understand, maybe you can answer this because we got to let you go, is why was it the Depends brand? I'm not sure.
I
Anyway,
didn't even know Depends made Superman version. That was cool.
it was pretty sweet.
That
Yeah.
was cool.
All right, buddy. Thanks for being on the show.
Love you, brother. See you later.
Everybody else that's here, you know the drill. Go and share this. Spread the message, especially this one. Like let us help some other people with their vision. Till the next show, go live your vision and love your life. See ya.